feel like I'm really beginning to understand why my mom's always came back home grumpy after work. I think I understand now. Hi everyone, my name's Dinah. Welcome to my channel, yada 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 yada. Okay, so now that we've gotten that out the way, I need to talk to y'all about something. And so while I talk, I'm gonna do what I do best, which is crochet, because it's one of the rare things that kind of helps to just turn my mind off, which, I mean, if you don't crochet, I highly recommend picking it up, or at least like something like crocheting that just has you doing something monotonous, but just relaxing, and so that's what crochet is for me sometimes. Sometimes. But in this, oh, one sec. Oh, okay, yeah, it was UPS. I didn't order anything, so it ain't got nothing to do with me. Though I thought that I would honestly keep it relatively chill and just talk to y'all about some of the things that have been on my mind. And really, there's just been one super major luminous thing that's been consuming me, and that's just the fact that I'm no longer a student. And so to give y'all some background information, I graduated from university literally like a couple months ago, like 2-3 months ago. And this is such an awkward particular phase for me because it's the beginning of fall. That's essentially the time as to when students are going back to school, and this is a time in which I'm used to preparing and going back to school myself. And it's so weird because it's like I'm literally looking at all of these back to school commercials, and I'm looking at my friends who are going back to school. My little sister, who's a senior, is going back to school, and I am just, I don't even know what to do with myself. Now, I always imagine myself forever being in school. Okay, maybe forever is like an exaggeration, but like I imagine myself after undergrad going to grad school for something, whether it was for my master's, whether it's for a law degree, business degree, a PhD. I don't even really know. I always imagine myself going back to school. And I think one of the major reasons that I imagined that for myself is because I knew, at the age of 21, that I was not going to know what the heck I wanted to do with the freaking rest of my freaking life. And it's so funny because I look back on myself when I was like in high school or even my freshman year of college, really thinking that I would have left university knowing the rest of my life, left university being comfortable, left university with some sort of plan that I would forever be able to take with me. But in all honesty, that's not the case. And, maybe it's my fault. Maybe I wasn't listening. Maybe there were people that were telling me, hey, adulthood ain't all this cracked up to be, just so you know. And if there were, I just don't recall it. I don't know if it was my naivety, or I don't know if it's just that at the time, I just wasn't surrounded by people who actually were talking about the fact that they were struggling. And for me, like, I got out of this very lucky. Like, I graduated university knowing where I was gonna be working, knowing my full-time job. But I would say that it's a lot different than I imagined it would be. Like, I had some really well-versed and thought out things as to what I wanted right after college. Now, I knew that I wasn't gonna be in my quote-unquote dream job right after college, and I was really just looking for, a job that would be able to meet all of my needs, and still give me the time I needed and wanted to work on my passion projects like YouTube and like crocheting, and that, small business that I hope isn't a small business forever. And I thought that it would be easier after college because in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, I no longer have to pull them all-nighters. I no longer have to, worry about studying for a test or going to classes. It's 9 to 5 and I have my weekends and that's it, done, boop, 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 over it. And maybe if I didn't have these passion projects, maybe it would feel easier. But I think there's a part of me that's incredibly drained in a way that I wasn't foreseeing, or a part of me that continues to be drained because I'm the type of person that does the most. But working this full-time job on top of, wanting to expand my crochet business and adding a YouTube channel, because I didn't start this YouTube channel until after I graduated, I really underestimated how much it would take out of me mentally, physically, emotionally. I am just putting a lot more tasks on myself to do. And I think one of the things I've always questioned my entire life is like, well, how much is it worth sacrificing? And what I mean by sacrificing is like sacrificing social time, most likely sacrificing time with family and friends, or even time for myself to just do things that help me relax. Crocheting used to be one of the ways in which I relaxed until I kind of turned it into a business per se. And it's really frustrating sometimes because I feel like, and this kind of happened with my Instagram account as well, it's like I start something and I started being excited and not expecting anything, but then it's like the more I do something, the more my ambitions kind of grow, the higher the standards are that I set for myself. And then I just end up just taking all the fun out of it. That's honestly what I do. I just end up taking all the fun out of these things that I know I started for a reason. I know I started it because, once upon a time they were things that fueled me. They were things that I looked to doing. And they're still things that I continue to love. It's just that balance of how do I not feel so drained by it. I feel like I'm doing a lot, but at the same time I feel like I'm not doing enough. I think for me is like I know that a lot of the pressure that I'm feeling is coming from myself, and a lot of that pressure comes from like the comparisons I make of myself to other people's journeys, and just feeling like I'm so behind, feeling like I'm so like off and maybe not on the wrong path. And maybe on the wrong path. Or I don't even know if I would say it's that I'm on the wrong path, but I just question if I'm on the right one. And I do think there's a slight difference in terms of it's just doubting. It's just that constant doubting, especially because, there are some things I'm doing that are a little less unconventional, like having a business, or doing this YouTube channel while simultaneously trying to manage and maintain my full-time job. I feel like I don't have the energy to do a lot of different things. Like I don't have the energy to crochet at the end of the day. It's like my body can only manage to do so much. And I want to do everything. And I don't know what to prioritize. And I feel like part of the reason I'm trying to do everything is because, again, this pressure that I continue to place on myself, and also this timeline that I've kind of put myself in that, has these kind of restraints as to what I can accomplish and when I can accomplish it. I think I'm having this really hard battle between my expectations of what post-grad life would look like and then what the reality of post-grad life looks like. In a way, it's like I almost feel like I'm realizing my humanity a bit more, which I don't know if that's the correct way to say it per se. But like, I feel like I've always tended to excel in the classroom environment. In high school, I was valedictorian. I went to a top 10 prestigious university, and school was the place where I felt comfortable, from an early age. My mom put me and my sisters in school, I think when we were like 2 or something like that. And so education has always been something that's been incredibly important to me and my family. But then there's the struggle of, I don't know, it's just weird. Okay, I think that's really just the only way to say it. It's weird. And I think that I expected that when I was done with school, I'd be like, oh my goodness, I'm done with school. Have my time back. I'll have my free time back. I'll have more control. And there are definitely some aspects where I do have more control. Like, I'm very fortunate I have my own apartment. And so, like, this is my space. I get to do whatever I want in this space. And that feels really good, right? And so that's a part of adulthood that I really love. Like, if you saw my last video, which was the remake of this space, that was such a fulfilling thing to be able to do, create my own space. I've never been able to do that before, and so it felt really good. But then there are other parts of adulthood, or like this new adulthood, that is just a bit tougher. Like, I thought, like, for one thing I took for granted while I was in school, and I knew this a little bit during the pandemic times, but it's like, you know, especially in school and especially in university, you're constantly surrounded by people, you're constantly surrounded by interaction. And I feel like throughout the pandemic and, you know, in this new adulthood, especially because my job is mostly remote, you know, I'm not really interacting with people, which isn't the worst thing for me. I'm an introvert, but it's one of those things where you just kind of have to have that sort of balance. And, you know, there's just this feel of something lacking. And I feel like, you know, that's the hard part. It's like some of my lack of social interaction comes from, you know, not only having a job that kind of really tires me out and takes, you know, a lot of brain power and energy, but also having passion projects that I invest just as much time, probably even more time. Like, I would say, y'all, that my average schedule is I am working from like 6 to 7 in the morning to like 12 a.m. doing work. Because that's the only way, like, I can balance doing everything, like crocheting, YouTube channel, and a full-time job. Like, no, it's a lot. Like, I thought I was doing a lot in college. Oh, which I was doing a lot in college, actually. Hold up. Side note, I'm currently crocheting something that I hope to make one of my first tutorials on this YouTube channel. So I'm excited for that. It's taking me forever to crochet it because I literally have to find like these small pockets of time to get it done. But as you can see, we're making progress. Can you guess what it is? Can you guess what it is? Comment down below what you think I'm making. And then when the video finally comes up, then you'll see. Just look for a yellow, outfit crochet tutorial sometime in the future, and then you'll be able to know whether you guessed correctly or not. You know what? Here's another thing too, especially because I am on social media, like literally in it, like on YouTube, Instagram page, TikTok page, where I try to be as active as possible. I feel like, you know, another reason why I feel this pressure of time running out is because I see so many people who are so young doing these amazing things they were able to do with, you know, the advent of social media. And I recognize that, you know, in a small way, I'm still part of those, you know, those people that have been able to do, you know, some cool things. But you know how, like, you just don't really know that you're doing something the way other people know that you're doing something? You know, like that saying, like, you're your own worst critic, or whatever the case. I feel like that's something that I've really had to get out of my mind of. Sorry, I'm supposed to be crocheting. One thing that I've had to learn is that everybody goes in their own pace. Everybody has their own path. Everybody has their own journeys. Everybody's in their own lane and doing their own thing. And I think another contention that I really felt is this contention of, you know, just honestly this fear and anxiety I feel over different things. Like, I feel this fear and anxiety of being complacent. Like, I don't want to stay where I am currently. I know that I want more for myself, and I'm fearful that I'll stay in a place of complacency because it's comfortable, because it's what I know. But then I'm also very fearful of jumping into the unknown, of doing unconventional things, of doing things that I'm not comfortable with. Like, I'm learning that life is all about pitching. Like, what? Like, you're just pitching to people, whether it's me pitching my business to people or pitching different projects for my job to people. Like, I'm constantly just pitching to people and trying to tell people why this is good enough, or why they should do this, or why they should be invested in this. And, You know, I've kind of been trying to take those little tricks and tricks I've been learning from pitching to others and trying to pitch to myself, and like the I am good enough now. And I think this is something that I definitely try to propel on my business's crochet page. I feel like you know, there is this sense of fake realism that kind of goes on in terms of even with people that we think have their lives all together, that they truly don't have it as together as people think they do. Because at the end of the day, we're all human. I know, profound, right? Oh, profound. Hey, I know this might be a weird angle, but I just needed to lay down because, like I said, I'm really, really tired. But yeah, I mean, I guess moral of the story is post grad life isn't what I thought it would be in both the good and like more so negative ways, you know? It's just different, you know? It's just different. Like, it's one thing to like watch on television where people are like grown adults and saying, yeah, we all just don't know what we're doing. And it's another thing to actually experience. Oh, we really don't know what we're doing. You know, actually, I was watching this movie. I can't remember the name of the movie. I feel like a lot of my best quotes come from like different movies or TV shows or books I've been reading. I feel like they teach me a lot of good life lessons. But the quote that they said, and if you remember what this movie is, go ahead and drop it in the comments. But it was like it said, "Let your love be greater than your fear." And I just thought that was so incredibly profound. I mean, it says all the things that we already know, right? Which is like obviously push past your fear. Fear is a natural emotion of being, you know, human. You know, all the generic stuff. I don't know. It was just said in a way that I'd never heard it being said before. Let your love be greater than your fear. And I just really liked it because I think, if anything, one of the feelings that I feel like I've kind of sort of felt, and I've talked to other, you know, newly graduates and heard what they've kind of felt, is like this feeling of kind of feeling a little stuck. Of course, besides like physical circumstances that actually prevent people from, you know, doing certain things. I think that fear is definitely one of the greatest blockers of all time, one of the greatest obstacles of all time. And I think if there's one thing that I've learned is the fact that obstacles arise and they come and they honestly, you know, don't go away. You know what I'm saying? Every time you jump over one obstacle, there will be another obstacle standing in your way. And the same way that you learn to jump over that same obstacle is the same way that you learn to jump over the next one. Um, and this whole notion of letting your love be greater than your fear, I think it just really sticks to me because it's like, again, it boils back to that why. Like when I think about why I started the Instagram page, my crochet Instagram page, and why I started this YouTube channel, is because these were generally activities that I loved. It was activities that I loved to see others do. It was activities I loved to do myself, and something that I really, you know, was honestly interested in and wanted to have fun with. And I think it's crazy to think about the fact, you know, by the time this video goes up, I've been on YouTube for 3 months, which is kind of crazy because I really have not posted that many videos. But I've already been on this platform for 3 months, and I want to always hold on to the love that I initially have when I start something. And I think it's so easy for things to be, you know, easily convoluted and warped. I want to always remember why. I want to remember the reason that I'm doing what I'm doing, the reason why I'm working so hard. And I feel like one of my main points is that I really love storytelling. And so I think that's the love, you know, and more particularly to tell stories that haven't been told before, you know, just to shed light on the different experiences that kind of exist. But I remember hearing something where it was also like, use like walking down your path or, you know, yeah, honestly, like going down your own path as an analogy to driving a car in the dark with just your headlights. You can't see anything. except for what's right in front of you, except for what your headlights shine a light on. But the more and more you go forward, the more and more you see. And I think I mean, the older and older I get, I think that's just what I'm recognizing and realizing that's what life is. It's about slowly uncovering what's next. Specifically, exactly what's going to happen next for you. But I think it's still important to have goals and to have dreams that you attempt to reach and strive for. And I think it's equally as important to, you know, believe in the fruition of those dreams and of those goals. But I don't know, I think my personal experience with the world and with life is that it throws curveballs, you know, and some of them you miss, but some of them you hit. And I think for me personally, you know, life has thrown many curveballs that I didn't expect to happen and come my way. But I think, like, the further I get, right, like when that initial obstacle hits me, and in that moment I'm just like, oh my goodness, what am I gonna do? And I'm freaking out. But then once I pass the obstacle and kind of get, you know, once I passed it, I get to look back and be like, wow, like I made it over. And on top of that, like, I almost grow grateful for most, I won't say all, but most of those kind of hard challenges, you know. As cliche as it sounds, it really does build me. It really does help me develop my character, and it really shows me what I'm capable of and shows me what I'm made out of. And I think that's very important for me to see, and it's very important for me to know. Yeah, so honestly, I think that I rambled enough. You know, when I'm really getting deep into conversation, I just stop crocheting. One thing about me is I'm not the best multitasker. But if you like videos like this, or if there's any topics that y'all want to talk about, like, feel free to respond back in the comments. I mean, if you're on your post-grad era, or, you know, whether you're way after that and have more wisdom and light to share, or whether you're before that, you know, and have questions or your own thoughts. Let's let this be a community discussion where we're just letting out how we're feeling, what's on our mind. This is a safe space. I'm not going to judge you. Please don't judge others. And if there's other topics that y'all would like me to hit and just to talk about, just to hear it out loud, like, definitely let me know. But that is it for this video. I am honestly very tired. I did not mention this. I know y'all probably saw in the previous clip I was taking cough medicine. That's because I slept in front of a fan, and now I feel the beginnings, you know, the onset of sickness. So I'm trying to push that back as far as I possibly can, because I really, really hate being sick. I hate being sick so much. Please like, subscribe. I really appreciate your support so much. And I'm gonna go take a nap, so I'll see y'all next time.
Nothing like your smile in the morning.